Well, tomorrow marks the 5th anniversary of the deadly fire at Grenfell Tower in West London, in which 72 people lost their lives. And the problem of flammable cladding on blocks of flats is still an acute one. Around 1 million people could still be living in blocks of flats with dangerous cladding, despite the government and property developers pledging some £9 billion to put things right. Our correspondent Judith Moritz has more details.
The Grenfell fire cost 72 lives and exposed a cladding scandal which has blighted hundreds of thousands more.
Councils and housing associations must remove dangerous cladding quickly.
Leaseholders should not have to worry about the costs of fixing historic safety defects that they didn't cause.
And we've also got to do better in future to ensure that everyone across this country can live their life in safety and in dignity in a home that is warm, decent and safe.
200 miles north of Grenfell, these social housing blocks in Salford are still being made safe. Work to remove dangerous cladding here started within a week of the tragedy, but it's yet to be replaced.
Since the cladding's off, it's gone up to 200.
Etna Crowson lives on the 8th floor and says she can't keep warm in winter.
That's why we don't have heating on.
Without the cladding, there's lower insulation and higher heating bills.
All the cold air, when the wind's blowing, comes all in here.
And your heating goes outside?
If you're on your own, which a lot are here, and you're only on one pension, you're thinking, how am I supposed to do this? I can't feed the meter and put a dinner on the table.
The Housing Association, which operates the estate, says it's helped residents with their increased costs. 5 years on from Grenfell, the government says its figures show that work has at least started on all local authority and housing association high-rise blocks. But you can see from the experience of Etna and her neighbours here in Salford how long that process can take. And in much of the private sector, where there are many more buildings, work is further behind.
I live what I would consider to be privileged lifestyle, and now I find myself in a situation where I am so utterly impotent.
Natalie Carter lives in East London. The developer which built her block has agreed to pay for recladding works, but Natalie says the ongoing disruption is causing real anguish.
I don't think people quite understand the emotional distress of having to live in a building where at any given point you feel you could die. There ought to be compensation. It has completely turned my life upside down.
45 developers have recently pledged to pay costs within the private sector. But there are other kinds of dangerous cladding than the type used on the Grenfell Tower, and work to get rid of that is barely underway. Judith Moritz, BBC News.